Morning, Tony Messenger.
Morning, McGraw. Good morning, Kelly. How is everybody
Hi
doing?
there, Tony.
We are great. Let's start off with kudos to you. Fill people in. You sort of brought this this cancer patient story some press a couple of weeks ago, and you followed up on it, and it looks like the insurance company caved, and they're going to give him his medicine?
Yeah, a gentleman named Jim Hafner who lives in South County, married and has 3 daughters. He's an attorney and has pancreas cancer, which is a pretty brutal, fast-moving form of cancer, and it had moved to his liver. And his oncologist at Siteman Cancer Center had recommended a specific sort of therapy where they insert these radiation microspheres specifically into the liver lobes, and it has some success in fighting the cancer and getting it out of the liver, which could extend his life significantly. And that's what the doctors wanted to do, and the insurance company, Coventry One, which is a subsidiary of Aetna, said, nope, we're not going to do it. And they called me, and I wrote about it, and they protested, and the Missouri Department of Insurance overturned the decision by the insurance company. So he had his first treatment a couple of weeks ago. This last Saturday, the folks at Patios held a fundraiser and sort of celebration of his life at their patio, and just all sorts of friends and family were there, and they were gracious enough to invite me, and I wrote about that for Monday. He goes in again for his second treatment in a couple of weeks, and he's in good spirits, and the tests are all coming back the way the tests are supposed to come back, and it's a good ending for now. He still has a very difficult form of cancer that he's going to have to battle, but without the treatment, he wasn't going to be with us much longer.
But Tony, this sort of, it's a great story that you were able to expose it, shed some light on it, and public pressure, government and or public pressure had the insurance company change their mind and give this guy the drugs. But that's because you wrote an article in the biggest newspaper in town about it. How many people were diagnosed with cancer, something similar, something kind of like this, something completely not like this, that you're not going to write about, that the insurance company is going to say, sorry, we don't have time for you? So that's the scary thing, is that the guy got what he was supposed to get only because the public had some pressure put on the insurance company. That's the dangerous thing about this story.
It's very worrisome. This is a family of some means, and it's a family that's sophisticated. And Gina, his wife, knew who to write, and I mean, she was writing senators, she was writing the Department of Insurance, she was writing me, she was doing everything she could to advocate for her husband. And not everybody in that situation has an opportunity to do that, has the means to do it, has the energy to do it. And it's sad because there are decisions like this all the time. One of the most disappointing thing about it is that you've got these very high-end, trained, board-certified oncologists that are making medical decisions, and then the insurance company sends that decision to a family physician in Tennessee who works for them, who looks at the reports and says, no, we're not covering it. It's offensive. And unfortunately, I don't have the stats on this, but I'm sure this kind of thing happens regularly.
Yeah, even when you do have someone who is an advocate for you, your own doctors, a team of doctors at Siteman, and still something like that, it could just take one person to deny you.
It was eye-opening, and when I was at the event Saturday, it was something that was on a lot of people's minds. They were there for Jim, but they were thinking about all the other people who go through something similar and get denied. And
well,
it happens more than it should. That's for sure.
They never would have changed their mind if you didn't write the article, right? And that's the scary thing, because you can't write about everybody. We can't talk about everybody who's been wrong. So that's we'll sort of wait and see what happens. All right, Tony. Also, I want to get your thoughts on this Better Together task force from yesterday. What are your initial thoughts on this?
Well, my initial thoughts is this is a very good thing. This is a big moment for St. Louis. This is St. Louis finally saying, okay, We are now going to come up with the plan. We've been talking about unification. We've been talking about reentry. We've been talking about merger. We've called it 15 different things. I've written countless columns about it over the last 3 or 4 years. There's been community meetings of multiple organizations, not just Better Together, but St. Louis Strong and Unite St. Louis and all sorts of organizations, people that from the grassroots have been saying, we have to fix our broken governance. And now we have, as of yesterday, a task force that has been given the charge of saying, in the next year, tell us what the plan is. Now, there's lots of things to pay attention to and lots of things to watch. You're going to have some folks who don't like Rex Sinquefield, who's the primary funder of Better Together, and I've been very critical of Mr. Sinquefield and his politics, who are very concerned that he's going to dominate this process and ram it through. So you're going to have a lot of people that want to watch and participate in those task force meetings very, very carefully. You're going to have politicians from many of the municipalities scared to death who are going to fight and fight and fight and say, don't take away our bread and butter. We do things better in Cool Valley or Wildwood or Wester Groves than we could ever do in a unified city. There's going to be battles over the next year, but we are now at the point where we are going to come up with a plan that says, here's how we're going to unify St. Louis, and let's vote on it. And I think that's now real. They're going to come up with a plan. We're going to vote on it in some capacity. I don't know if it's going to go through the legislature, be a statewide ballot, be a city vote, county vote, all of those, all of the above. But I think yesterday is a historic day in St. Louis because it makes what we've been talking about at an esoteric level much more real. And what I would encourage people to do is pay attention to these task force meetings and go and make your voice heard and participate in the process, because I know people on the far left of the spectrum and the far right of the spectrum that believe that the city and county have to unite in some capacity. The question is in the details. The debate is in some of the political personalities. But I know people all throughout the spectrum in this region that believe that unification is the future of this St. Louis community, and now it's going to be real.
Tony, I got about a minute here. They didn't mention reunification. They didn't mention joining. They didn't mention merging. They just sort of mentioned we're going to study ways to save money and sort of work together. That's code for reunification?
Well, that's what the politicians said. Steve Stinger and Lyda Cruz and the mayor of the city and the county executive of the county were there to basically say, we approve of this task force. We think this task force is a great idea. The way our government is structured and how everybody is spending money is a problem, and it is. So the politicians are not yet there, and frankly, that's problematic. For this to succeed, we need at least one major successful politician in this region to say, I support it, I'm driving it, get behind me. And we don't have that yet. But the task force, make no mistake, I talked to Dr. Will Ross, who's one of the 3 task force members. He understands completely what this is about. This is about taking all the facts, figuring out how we're going to unify, presenting a plan to the community, and selling them on it. That's what this is going to be. The mayor doesn't yet say that, although she gets closer than the county executive. The county executive won't yet say that, and I'm not sure if he ever will. But there will be a politician at some point in this region that helps to lead this effort, because otherwise it's not going to get done.
Tony Messenger, St. Louis Post-Dispatch columnist, Tuesdays and Thursdays here all the time at stltoday.com. Tony, thanks.
Good to talk to you.
Tony.
827, Big